As we continue to watch what's going on with Helene, you really got to feel for the people in the Big Bend area of Florida, also Tallahassee, Panama City, dealing with yet another hurricane. And I know people around this state can certainly relate to feeling stressed of an approaching storm after what happened April 27th, 2011.
So really, how do you handle the stress that inevitably can come when you've survived something like a hurricane or have gone through it, or a tornado? UAB psychologist Dr. Josh Klapow is joining us now. He's actually in Nashville today, so he joins us by Zoom. Tony Kurre here in studio. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
I think, like Mike said, we all can relate to, oh no, not again. I've been saying that I have cousins that live in Perry, Florida, and Steinhatchee, and they were like, here we go again, and they had to pack up and leave today.
Yeah, you think of Mexico, the Mexico Beach area that just got decimated just a couple of years ago. And I go all the way back to 1974 when we had the tri-state tornado area up in the Cincinnati area. It changed us forever. I mean, that's when we didn't have weather radios and we stayed in our basement for 28 straight hours. We didn't have sirens or any of that stuff. You just walked outside, looked around, you went back in, and it traumatized the PTSD big time for a lot of people that not only have been through hurricanes, but we talk about the Holly Pond area, Pleasant Grove, and the places just in Alabama that get hit by tornadoes, it seems like almost every week in the summertime.
Yeah, Dr. Klapow, so how do you deal with that? I mean, people who've been through this before, we've seen this also through wildfires where they just rebuilt and then their home gets devastated again.
Yeah, no, so that's a good point, and I think Tony brought up a good one. You know, whether it's a tornado or a hurricane, it's the nature of the disaster itself, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake or wildfires. And I think particularly right now is difficult for a lot of folks because it is coming and you see it coming, and people really fall like into like two buckets. One is, you know, we've survived it before, we're going to be fine, and they kind of don't do anything. And then you see the other folks who really have a high level of anxiety. And you know, I always say this, you should. This is dangerous, but it's really a matter of sort of, can I dial in on what I need to do versus kind of being in denial versus panicking. It's kind of right down the middle.
Talk about what it does to you physically when you do worry and stress over things that you have no control over.
The physiological impact, and we've all been nervous, we've all been anxious, and you feel, you know, stomach aches, headaches, your heart rate goes up, muscle tension goes up, stress hormones are released, and those are things that are just basically, and people know, kind of fight or flight, that is getting us ready to act. But I think for a lot of people, they don't do anything with it. And that's really a difficult situation. I mean, obviously, all you can do is prepare. If you need to evacuate, you evacuate. But the physiological toll is tremendous on us.
And I think so, even for people on the sidelines that are maybe not directly impacted, they feel some of that. And I think Mr. Rogers, as you shared the story about his mom, would tell him when he'd see bad news on TV, you know, look for the helpers. And that's probably a good message for the aftermath of these.
Great idea. And I saw a story about the guy who'd been through 72 years old or something and has been through, like, I don't know, 27 storms and staying put. Wow. And you're like, you know, but again, you got to do what the authorities are telling you to do. The one thing you can do to help your anxiety is to obviously help your own cause by getting the heck out of the way of something that obviously is going to decimate that area.
Yeah.
I've always heard if you have a plan that can ease anxiety a little bit. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, because again, you think about, there's certain things I can't control. I can't control the weather itself. But if I have a plan, including knowing when to evacuate, when not to evacuate, how to protect myself, those kinds of things, what it allows us to do is kind of channel that anxiety. And it doesn't mean that it's going to go away. It just means that it brings it back down to a reasonable level where we can think relatively clearly.
All right. It is a part of life, isn't it?
It is indeed.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Klapow.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you all.
We'll be right back.